Good Monday evening, good peoples. All right, I have Rex for you with competitive analysis against other funds in the same underlying. So, what did Rex, which is doing very well, them Roundhill, Bitwise are definitely surging, and I think you'll see in here that Max is at the bottom almost in every fund. They didn't win any of the group, so I'll share the details with you. So let's start there. MSTR underlying MSII from Rex paid 30.72. Doesn't mean much unless you know what the price and the yield, and I'll get into all that. Their COII on coin, the underlying, paid a whopping, this is big relative to the other payments, 75.56. We'll talk about yield and everything. So NVII, their NVIDIA underlying, paid 22 cents. And in trailing, their Tesla oriented fund only paid 12 cents, 12.1213. All right, let's get into the detail here because this is something that I'm doing constantly for you guys. It's a lot of work, but I sort of enjoy it. So let's look over the last number of days. Obviously, we don't pay anything in NVIDIA, so we have Granite shares yield boost NVYY, which is a big payer. Not always the best performer on the NAV, but definitely a big payer. Then we have NVDW from Roundhill, which kind of accomplishes both. They're never the biggest payer, but they're almost always the winner. I think 3 out of 4 of these funds. Okay, and then we have NVIDIA from Yieldmax, which is doing pretty well. It's just not winning in the competition. And then we have NVII from Rex, which we're talking about, right? So over here, I keep track of the running payments. Now, the issue when we go to the competitiveness of this, they all have different start dates. So then I narrow it down and I make everybody have the exact same start date. Whoever is the newest, we go to that date. Unless it's somebody that has 1 or 2 payments, I'm not even going to bother. But like I think in the example, we go back to June 4. So then that gives everybody almost 2 full months to compete. So what are we noticing here over this last 5 trading days since I would have reported? Well, let's take a 225. So we had, well, let's take this minus and see how everybody did. So NVIDIA went down 2.54 on 22nd of July last week. So on Granite, they went down more, which happens a few times, right? Which makes me think leverage, but they're writing on a leverage fund, but they're really just writing, selling puts. So that's not the same as being leverage, which means you buy a higher percentage of swaps, pro or con. Usually you create leverage in the positive. So you go up from 100 to say 120, 125, 150. You accomplish that through buying swap. When you do synthetics, you're really just 100% long. You're just straight long. And then they all do some form of sell puts, sell calls to generate the income portion. All right, so we went down more on Granite and we're leveraged, so that's expected on the Roundhill fund. And then NVIDIA went down less, which is typically what happens because they're making a little bit, they're not leveraged in essence. And then NVII kind of uses a combination. They switch off on their strategy. So they had kind of a poor performance on this. But sometimes these dates are off. So maybe it was their ex dividend, but for the most part, I get these very close. So I don't worry about one instance. How about this, where it was up 2.25? Not massive moves, but moves. And so here they captured 2.21, which is excellent. And look at coin. or sorry, look at Round Hill. They got more because they truly are leveraged. And then you expect that NVIDIA didn't get quite as much. So Granite got, a small fraction more, but look over at NVII. So their leverage is showing up. They outperformed everybody on that. And then let's see if that repeated when we went up 173. Well, look at Granite. They went up more on their yield boost when it was 225 to 221. Now they went up 235. So they're inconsistent, but they pay fantastic. I mean, their yield's almost always the highest yield. If they can get stabilized a little more in their NAV, then they're going to start winning these things instead of Round Hill, but they're definitely performing. But guys, don't chase yield. Don't just pick them because their payment's the biggest. Look at these total returns when I report. I mean, buy what you want. It's your money. You do with it. I just try to show you the different analysis. All right. So 226, very good. I mean, that is really showing the leverage also again. And you expect, oh, look at that. NVIDIA actually went 0.06 higher. That's not normal, but you'll take it every day. I'll take the positive for yield max there. And then you had 214, which again, they're showing signs consistently of their leverage at Rex. All right, how about on a down day? This must have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this would have been declaration day here for these guys. So that makes sense there. Um, they had a big, right? Because they're paying and they have to subtract their payment out. That's straightforward what that is. Otherwise, you'd see 0.15, 0.18, 0.11, right? Like everybody else. Okay. Well, I'm showing this. So this, sometimes when the payments aren't big, it doesn't matter. But if NVIDIA paid on that day, then it probably, which they wouldn't have. Yeah, because they paid back here. Let me take that formatting off. Okay. Yeah, NVIDIA pays once a month, so that's their scenario. Okay, guys, I'll leave NVIDIA now. So I'm going to do each of these, then I'm going to go over to the competition and show you how everybody did, then change everybody to the same date so you see what I call the winners. I'm going to color code a loser, color code a winner, and everybody else is neutral, right? But you'll see some strong finishes on some, even though they didn't win. So that's always fun. Tesla, again, very volatile, right? Let's look at a few. The 3% and 3.5. Okay. So what did we get? That's strange. TSYY, just the granite, didn't really participate. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've got this in different orders. Price change. So they did. I don't know why I did it that way on Tesla. I should have just kept it consistent. But 3 and 3.5, they went 3.6 and 2. This one's down some, but I actually think this was when they just declared. Um, they're 25,479. Or ex dividend, sorry. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes you have a holiday or it messes up and it'll create like a 4 day gap, like this one did here on 4th of July. There's only a 3 day. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I suspect that's what's going on. But so that's why I said I don't take everything perfect on a single day. All right, look at that. This one's more important. I don't see any X dividend. Minus 820. How did everybody do? Well, granted, did not go down the full amount. That's excellent. Okay. Neither did TSLP. And normally they're pretty good. Guys, by the way, TSLP is just curve. So there isn't a lot of matching curve funds, but when there is, I try to include them. Like they don't have Coin, they don't have NVIDIA, but they got Apple, Google, Tesla, um, that sort. So they did good. Well, they went down less than Tesla did. So this was a better performance. All right, look at this. Coin, sorry, guys, Roundhill on their Tesla because they're leveraged. You expect them to go down. On the way up, they go up more. Plain and simple. So you want to be, but honestly, you shouldn't be buying income funds unless you're bullish. So if you have a lot of consistent down days in a fund, now I know what some of you do and you should be doing. Like, I think a lot of people think Tesla ultimately has promise, right? A lot of technology, a lot of brains behind the company. They're going to get beat up, they're going to get hurt, and then they're going to turn around and rip. So you want to make sure if you're going to own them and consistently own them, right? Then make sure you're DCAing and make sure you're buying when you think they're at lows. Maybe you even trade the income fund a little bit, or you trade the other pieces, right? My question would be, if I've been getting beat up for 6 months because I was owning Tesla, now it's starting to take off. Do I just want to depend on my income fund to do better, which it will if you're in the right leverage fund? No, I'm probably going to go out and buy a 2x Tesla ETF that probably doesn't even pay any income. But now I'm going to get the full bandwidth of that move up. That's just me. Again, I'm always looking for angles, guys. When you've been in the market for 45 years, you've been beat up, kicked to the curb, your money taken. You get smart sooner or later. It's battle scars, right? It took me 5, 8, 10 years because the trading was just a little bit of something I did on the side for my professional career. So, and at times I thought I knew a lot because I was in technology. I was in some of the larger tech companies that were leading in tech, especially in the .com cycle. So sometimes your knowledge is spot on. Sometimes your knowledge you think you know and you don't. So again, the markets will take your money. So I warn you people on margin, heavy margin all the time. Leave yourself some runway. These market makers and these algorithms love to just kick and take your money away. These retail brokers will change the margin on you so that you get a margin call. They all benefit out of that. All right, it's a business and it's a brutal business. You're up against some of the smartest people in the world, right? Some of the hedge funds are fantastic. I've seen some dumb hedge funds, right? I mean, Ulti is sort of a mini hedge fund and is one of the best funds right now on Max. But that's kind of, I've even heard Jay refer to that, but I kind of think of it as a mini hedge fund. They're outplaying the really high volatility IV stocks. And right now they're winning. I just hope the market doesn't turn against them, but I like the fund. I've got a video coming out comparing it to YMAX and some other funds. So I'll have that out. I was hoping to have it out yesterday and I didn't quite get finished. It led to some other things that I took off on that relate to that. All right, guys, enough on Tesla. Not all that exciting. Let's do MSII. Well, if you've been listening to me, I've had a lot to say here. And I'll tell you what my overall consensus is. Now, this is subject to change. I had a lot of people defend Misty. And I probably, if it was reversed and I wasn't a YouTuber and I owned some Misty, not much, but if I owned it in a big way, I probably would be defensive too, saying, oh, yeah, it's the GOAT. Look at, I care about its 20-month track record and yada, yada, yada. But what have you done for me lately? You suck, right? The last 3 months has been pitiful. Just go out and look at my video where I compared the BTC funds, okay? All the companies that have funds, including Max on YBIT, but YBIT is terrible. Last place, guys. If you own YBIT, seriously, do you care about your money? Get into a different fund. I recommend you get into YBTC, XBITI from Granite. There's a lot of good funds out there. And YBIT sadly is not one of them. All right, enough of my there. Let's take a look here. So my issue right now is I suspect until MSTR takes off, none of these funds are going to do that well. Who's winning right now? That's important. So if you want to keep owning Misty, keep owning Misty and wait for it to come to its glory days. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it does for everybody's sake, right? It was a hell of a goat. You can't knock that. It took 8 months to get your money back when it came out at $20. Well, guys, it's at $20 right now, and they earn nothing. They may get paid $1. I think they're only going to get paid in the 80 cents. And even that's pushing it. I don't know why they don't get a 40 or 50-cent payment. I know why, because it's over a third of all assets under management. So the management team is not going to pay 30 cents, but that would be generous based on what they didn't earn. Okay. So I don't want to go there and people say, oh, Bruce, you're saying 80 cents. Other YouTubers are saying 83 to $1. Are you ever accurate? Blah, blah. Guys, this is a subjective subject. How much a company chooses to pay. As much as we like to analyze all the things, we get a feeling of a trend. That's why I have 81 cents. Did they earn 81 cents? Absolutely not. Do they deserve 81 cents? Absolutely not. But they're probably going to get even $1. They may not break that dollar cycle. That's up to them and their management team. Okay. So I don't ever stand by and say I'm right and other people are wrong. They're guesstimates, guys. All right, enough of my rant. Here we go. Let's look at the 5.6 update. All right. How did the funds perform? Oh, Misty, what are you doing? 0.23? Seriously? 0.21? Don't really understand that. Look at IMST with leverage. 11. Where is my, oh, and look here, minus 1.16. So I don't really know. I mean, I think my data is accurate. When I see something that off, it starts to make me think, oh, what is going on? So I'm gonna go take a look at MSTR. There's an awful lot of data that I move and collect and change. So, it's very possible for me to make a mistake. But I'll be the first to admit it when it happens. Okay, so I got 22nd of July. Oh, 426.40. Then they dropped to 412, 414, 405, and 403. And what was the previous day? Oh, that's the problem right here, guys. The previous day, they were 426.28. All right, it happens. See, when I see something it just doesn't make any sense, then I'm going to check it out. Why would this? Oh, they may have made a distribution or something. Let me check it so somebody doesn't get all worked out. Okay, they just paid here on the 25th for IMST. That's why it dropped here. They paid $2.913. And so they were dropping. But why would they have an 11 point? Let's see if the number is valid. It's probably that is valid and the one below. Let's see, 5332. That number is right. Oh, yeah, same problem, 5337. And then 5286. So when you're getting these from Google Finance, sometimes things get messed up, guys. So when I see something that's just way out of what I expect, you have to look at it. All right, 332. I don't, this one's double. See, look at MST's leverage. That's what you expect. 322. Misty came along, didn't go down as much. You expect that. IMST did not go down as much. That's good. They went down more than 2 times. So they're leveraged twice, but they actually went down more than that. And then MSII, with some of their leverage, went down slightly more. So nothing out of the ordinary. So a few days doesn't make the case. You have to stack all the data together. Last thing to look at. Oh, I didn't go through and update this, but I update all the other critical stuff. Apologize for that. I did update who paid, how much they paid. All right, guys, look at this. This is where the rubber meets the road. All right. So what I do is I try and take each fund across the competitors and say, okay, who's winning? Who's doing well? Well, up here, because of different dates, it's not fair. Just simply not fair. If the market takes off and rises 20% in 2 weeks, and some fund launches and only has 2 weeks, and another fund has 4 months and has all the bear market activity, you're not comparing equal market activity. So that's been my new focus. So we can go over this for a second. So up here, 219, they're 48.96. So that's a pretty good track record over 160 days. Who else got 160 days? NVII from Yomax. Well, they're 55% as good as Roundhill. So why would I own NVIDIA when I can own NVDW and just about double the performance? Who else was 160 days? Well, only the underlying. And what did the underlying do? It went up 72. So you're capturing 5/7. That's pretty darn good. Here, you're capturing 40%. Not good. Not good relative, guys. That's what people say to me, and this always gets me a little mini rant. And I was in during COVID. I was already in Southeast Asia, and I had to leave because residency, you can't stay more than a couple of years. So I went back to the States for a while, saw family, went down to Mexico because Mexico was wide open. I was in Puerto Vallarta. Good. I speak some Spanish, certainly not fluent, but it's the only other language that I know fairly well. So I enjoyed Puerto Vallarta. Um, the issue gets to be I ask in a Facebook group down there, hey, what are y'all doing for a dentist? I had a great dentist. I was spoiled in the US. He wasn't cheap, but he was really, really good. And I want somebody down here. I don't expect the quality to be as good. So now I want price. I don't want the gringo price. I want the fair price. What do the locals pay? That's what I want. So I had all kinds of people write to me with 10, 15 different recommendations. And here was a theme. Hey, I'm from Alberta. I'm from Montreal. I'm from New York City. I'm from Chicago. I'm down here. We've owned a home, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? We found somebody there. They're a good dentist. They're 50% less than what we pay in Chicago, New York, Montreal, Alberta. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's positive. I'm used to that. But I've traveled. I've been to 66 plus countries in my career traveling through work. And I've learned that I don't just base it, oh, that's cheaper than I pay back home. That's good. No, I want to know, what do the locals pay for this? Right? So the net result is I went, and this is relevant to this because you all are telling me in your comments sometimes this, and I chuckle to myself because I don't view it the same way, but I respect how you view it, and you have every right to view it that way. I say to myself, I want the best price I can get locally, just like I want the best dentist for the best price. Well, I got the best dentist, I think, in Southern California for many, many years. I was with that loyal and faithful, and he was in the top 8% of cost, but in my opinion, he was in the top 1/10 of 1% in performance, right? He was a great dentist. And I could trust him. He never told me I needed a crown if I didn't. And if he told me, I knew I needed it. And the quality of the work, everything he did lasted for 30, 40 years. I mean, there was never any question. So real fast. So in Mexico, all these people said, go here, go there. Then I read further comments on reviews of people that went there, and they didn't think they were so good. And then I thought, oh, okay, well, you like them because they're 50% less than Chicago, Montreal, New York, LA, right? So I finally just went and did a bunch of research, and I said this new dentist change out of Guadalajara, and they happen to have a branch there in um, Puerto Vallarta. I went to them, outstanding dentist. It was 1/10 of what I paid in Southern California with my expensive dentist. It was 95% as good. So I paid 10% and got 95% quality. That was a huge win. I didn't need any other work, but I looked at their crowns, I looked at all the other things, and the dentists were quality. And so it just goes to show you that don't just make that assumption. Well, I was in FCHD and I'm happy with Misty, or I'm happy with this Yield Max fund, or I'm happy with this, this Curve fund or this Defiance fund because it's better than FCHD or better than VOO. That's not what you're comparing, guys. You're comparing other funds that have the same underlying. All right, I'm done with my rant, but I had to say that. I had to get it out. You guys, hopefully, you fast forward. All right, so NVIDIA, NVYY, okay, these aren't even. So let's go down here and let's look at even. Okay, I can't get everybody in here, but I went to 528 because everybody fit that date, right? So if somebody's brand new, and surprisingly, there are some, look at this. So who's in first place? Round Hill, 324.9% return. Okay. Who paid the most? Granite, right? Where did they rank among Yilmax, Round Hill, and Granite on this fund? Third place. Not that far, 20 points lower than NVIDIA. Okay. So I make it white, like it's neutral. You're an also ran. You didn't win and you didn't lose. But you're red if you lose and you're green if you won. Well, that's double, guys. It's not quite double yield max, but close enough. I mean, where are they winning? Look, it's right here. Their leverage, when this thing moves, their leverage captures. There's any question at all, that's what happens. And so they weren't the highest yielder. 96, almost 100% return from it. So if you're a yield chaser, who are you buying? You're buying NVYY, but are you getting the best fund? If you're happy, I'm happy that you're happy. All right. So same thing here. And this one almost doesn't matter. The underlying has been so horrible. And again, all these different dates. So can I trust anything? No. The newest fund, everybody else is 219. You got TSII, the Rex fund in here saying, hey, I'm positive. You are. Let's go equal. Let's put everybody at 6.4. Who wins now? Granite. Look at 116% annualized dividend yield. Yeah, you went down 78. You were the big down mover relative. But you know what? You paid enough to win. Okay, so the other positive fund, I made it white, if you're wondering. So this, only in this column, I put the winner and the loser. Who lost? Well, it's pretty darn close. Max just about lost. Tesla was minus 12.79, and TSLP, which normally doesn't go down so much, was down 13.48. Now, in fairness, look, they held that up. They were only down 27.76, and Yilmax was down more than double that, but they more than double the payment. Now, in some fairness, TSLP, I think, is due here to pay. A lot of these, when they're close, or I want to be fair, I really just, I use a prorated portion of what I expect the yield to be on the next one, especially when it moves into that 2 or 3 day. Yeah, like their last one is 45. Well, they're due in 2 or 3 days. It's not, well, that actually probably would have kicked them in. Let's give them, they're probably going to pay another 45. Let's give them 40 and see what happens here. Whoops. Got to put your period in front, decimal place. Yeah, look at that. Now who loses? So I do it with Tesla. I give them, and I do it with everybody when they get close. So I'm not going to alter my stuff around. So that very easily could be a loser and will be as soon as they declare for yield max on Tesla. All right. So let's move in to this guy. MSII, they just reported. So nice. Again, what's the problem here? You got a 6.4, a 5.2, and a 4.3. You got a lot of newbies in here, and then a couple of 219s with one doesn't matter, right? So not really fair to Misty necessarily, because they're the only 219. So let's change it up. Let's go 6.4. They didn't win, they didn't lose, right? Because MST is just with that double leverage, and they keep getting beat up. So who wins here and who loses? Well, Misty loses 27.41, not by much. IMST is just slight, a decimal. So call this two losers. Second place, little better, MST. Why? Because they outpay everybody, right? 71.32 on their payments. But the real winner here is Rex at 57.81. So I know you guys love Misty, and I know you defend Misty, and I'm not saying it won't return to its glory. I'm just saying right now it ain't gloriful. All right, guys. So last one, coin. This isn't even close, guys. It's not even close. Look at what the underlying has done. We all know coin just ripped. NVIDIA's ripped, okay? So coin ripped 1187 because you have 4 out of the 5 I'm using. I just decided, I can do it with 4, but this isn't what really matters. Let's go down here where I leave coin out of it. And I say, okay, let's go 6.4. You want to play in 6.4, Rex, because you have to? Let's go see how much better you did. All right. So Rex did good, right? They and COII from Bitwise were second placers. Who lost? COII, and it was not close. You heard me bitching about the payout and all the rest, and that's when people say, oh, I had SCHD. I'm really happy with COII. And, why would you be happy with something that got outperformed 10 times better? 10 times better. I mean, where did it get all that? Gain and loss, people. It was 38 and it went to 55. COII was 8 and went to 10. That's 25%, okay? But not enough. Look at the dividend. COII with these big payments, $13.24. But you've got to perform otherwise. So if you make, I think Yomax has figured this out. But I kind of liked it when they overpaid in the NAV. Then I could just play with trading them or buying them when they were really low, knowing they were coming back because they had big payments. Now it seems like they're holding back. Well, you don't need to do that. Just do what Roundhill's doing. They're by far, in my opinion, right now, the best fund. Rex is giving them a run for their money. There's a few good funds out there. Several. I mean, Yield Boost is showing me something. All right, guys. So that's what I got. Look at this: 1,062, 311, 467 on Rex, and you have to take second place. But pitiful for Coney. I'm so done with Coney and Misty. Hey, I may be back if all you got. Oh, they're saving all that payout for the end of the year. Well, I'm no dummy. If that's the case, I'll flip over there, buy it, catch big payments, and sell out. I don't want to hold it. They can't sustain it unless they can prove they can. All right, guys, that's what I got for you on Rex. I hope you give me comments, give me feedback. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm growing, almost 6,000 now. I want to be 10,000 before long. I'm putting in the effort, so maybe you can reward me with a like or a subscribe or tell your friends, people. All right, I don't ask for much. I don't ask for money, although a lot of people are pushing me for membership, but I'm not ready to do that. And guys, you'll never find me being a fanboy because one day, if Roundhill stops performing and somebody else shows up and is the big winner, I'll be the first to tell you about it, right? I'll call it what it is. I don't have anything against Yieldmax other than they don't always disclose what the heck they're doing in terms of the payout. It just seems so subjective. When they started paying Pulte 256 after paying $7, and I saw what Pulte was earning, I'm like, what's going on? Oh, Bruce, they're saving it for the end of the year. Don't worry. That's not how I operate. I always worry. This is markets. You should be afraid. You should be very afraid. All right, guys. This is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Have a great one. Bye for now.